In a free market, adults can buy things that are entirely useless or even actively harmful. We accept the sale of cigarettes and incredibly expensive glowing cosmetic serums as a natural byproduct of consumer choice. That exact same free market logic applies to the esoteric industry. There is a massive, culturally permanent demand for tarot readers, palmistry, and energy healers. If a curious or vulnerable consumer decides they want an esoteric service, they will get one. If the first shop on the street is closed, they will simply walk next door. We cannot legislate away the human desire for magic, and we cannot use logic to eradicate the demand. Our only practical option is figuring out how to make the existing industry less dangerous. Let's run a thought experiment. Imagine two very different esoteric providers operating competing shops right next to each other. In the first shop, we have provider A, the true believer. This is someone who genuinely, with all their heart, thinks they possess supernatural powers and are performing actual magic. In the second shop, we have provider B. Look at this logical model to see the difference. Provider B is the conscious fraud. They are an absolute skeptic who knows magic is fake, but they perfectly execute psychological tricks and cold reading to output that exact same magical advice. Watch how our intuition reacts to this setup. Society naturally stamps provider B, the liar, as a dangerous scammer. Meanwhile, we view provider A as morally innocent, or maybe just a bit misguided. We usually weigh these two against each other using their intentions, one honest, the other a liar. But focusing on the why behind the service might actually hide the impact of their work. To determine who is actually dangerous to society, we have to look past their personal convictions. We need to test both of them on the clinical outcomes of their most vulnerable clients. Let's start with a low-stakes baseline. A client walks in seeking a comforting message from a deceased pet or asking for some general relationship advice. In these everyday scenarios, both the true believer and the conscious fraud deliver the exact same satisfying consumer illusion. As long as the customer leaves happy and comforted, the hidden personal belief system of the person sitting across the table has zero impact on the final transaction. Reading palms for entertainment is harmless. The true threat emerges only when vulnerable people use these shops to bypass real medical or psychiatric care. Let's escalate to a high-stakes stress test. Two clients enter the shops: a patient with severe cancer seeking energy healing instead of chemo, and a grieving widow sinking into suicidal depression. Provider A, blinded by their genuine belief in magic, confidently takes the cancer patient. They might actively advise against traditional chemotherapy, warning the patient that hospitals destroy natural auric energy. When provider A meets the widow, they authentically validate the seance. By claiming the husband's ghost is a constant, lingering presence in the room, they trap the widow in a cycle of delusion, rather than helping her process her grief. This is the fatal flaw of the true believer. Because they don't know they are faking it, they have no boundaries. They will confidently attempt to cure conditions far beyond their capability. Unintentional harm still leaves a patient dead. When someone's genuine belief actively steers vulnerable people away from life-saving science, their innocence becomes a severe public health hazard. Now shift your focus to provider B, the conscious fraud, facing those exact same critically ill clients. Provider B has a supreme advantage. Because they know magic is a fabrication, they instantly recognize they are completely out of their depth. They identify the situation for what it is, a strict medical emergency. Look at this flowchart for provider B's tactic. They adopt the cancer patient's delusional language, claiming energy healing only works alongside hospital chemotherapy. For the widow, provider B fabricates a specific spirit message. Her husband commands her to visit a grief counselor. By hacking the client's own belief system, the conscious fraud uses the illusion of magical authority as a Trojan horse to enforce real medical intervention. Provider B is lying to their clients and actively reinforcing a fake reality. But a person in deep medical denial or crushing grief is immune to cold scientific logic. They will only accept help if it is spoken in the language of their delusion. In life or death scenarios where reason fails, a calculated, cynical lie is the only functional tool capable of saving a life. A paranormal industry run by self-aware skeptics creates a natural safety barrier. When the person behind the table knows exactly where the trick ends, they can identify exactly where the professional medical referral must begin.